G'day, I'm Paul. So 7-seat SUVs, they've become a little bit expensive here in Australia, and it means that if you are under cost of living pressures, it is expensive to get the family around. So that is where this comes in. It is called, a bit of a mouthful, the Chery Tiggo 8 Pro Max Ultimate. So that is what this spec is. Confusingly, the Tiggo 7 that we tested previously isn't a 7-seater, but the 8 is. So anyway, I can't really figure that one out for myself. And then the Ultimate is the top spec all-wheel drive variant. Now this is priced at a pretty staggering $48,000 drive-away, just under 48 grand drive-away. That seems like incredible value for money, especially when you look at some of the features that this has as standard. If that is too expensive, the entire range kicks off at around $42,000 drive-away. So there is a few options there to pick from, and then the first two entry-level variants are front-wheel drive only. Now this competes with stuff like the Mitsubishi Outlander, the Nissan X-Trail, the Honda CR-V. It's a sort of mid-size SUV with 7 seats. So you're not going to fit adults really in the back there. Well, we'll test that out later, but it is more for kids. Today, we're going to do a detailed review of this car. So if you do want to skip ahead to other parts of this review, you can use the time codes that are on the screen, or if you're on YouTube, you can scroll down and use the chapters below. And are you in the market for a Chery or another SUV? Well, have I got a deal for you? Well, actually, I have a page full of them. All you need to do is go to Google, type in Help Me CarExpert, or use the QR code on the screen. It's going to take you to the CarExpert website. We're a big company. It's like over 60 full-time employees. Very impressive. We also have a page on the site with all of the deals going in Australia this month to help you figure out which car you need to pick. We can then even put you in touch with one of our friendly dealers who might even be able to get you a better deal as well. So go to Google, type in Help Me CarExpert, or whip your phone out, scan the QR code, and away you go. So let's talk exterior design. Optional colors, $600, which is pretty good value for money. Waterfall grille there. You got the little chrome bits sort of in the center there, and then these triangles in between. Pretty cool looking design, I reckon. 3D element to it. Big Chery logo on the front there. Over to the side here, actually, I just noticed that as well. It's like a brushed aluminium. That's pretty cool. I haven't seen that before. Full LED headlights with LED running lights and LED indicators as well. So really cool looking sort of headlight design there. Around the side here, 19-inch alloy wheels and a pretty sporty looking tyre. So we'll see how that handles a little bit later on. Cool design there on the wheels too. So machined finish and then like a graphite in the center there. Now, despite this being all-wheel drive, only has a ground clearance of around 185 mil. So you're not going to be doing any sort of crazy off-road driving. And question to you guys as well that are watching, one of our most popular videos that has almost 9 million views was a medium SUV off-road test. Do you want us to do that again with the latest batch of SUVs? Let me know. Let me know down there. A little bit of wheel arch cladding, and on the side here, TGDI, which is the engine, 2-litre turbocharged petrol. Indicator there on the wing mirror with a camera built into the side as well. You've got roof rails, privacy glass, and then come around to the back with me. Now around the back here, this is where it gets a little bit confusing. Well, not confusing, but just there are so many badges here. So Tiggo 8 Pro Max, and then you've got 390T, and this one doesn't make any sense because this car has 390 Newton meters of torque in some markets, but for the Australian market, it has less than that. So it is just a little bit confusing that they keep that badge on there, even though it has no relevance to what this is. Chery up the top there in individual lettering, and then all-wheel drive. Check out the exhaust pipes. It has 4 exhaust pipes, and they're real as well, which I think is pretty cool. So quite a sporty looking thing. Full LED taillights as well with that LED section that runs all the way along the top there, and then brake light integrated up the top there with a shark fin aerial. Now let me know what you reckon about the design and the value for money. What do you think about that? Let me know in the comments section below. So we are inside the Tiggo 8 Pro Max Ultimate. This is what the key looks like. You've got unlock, boot, lock, remote start, and then the Chery logo on the back. It's a proximity sensing key, so you can leave that in your pocket, and then you've got a push button start just here. Have a look at this interior. We are talking about a car that is going to cost you under $50,000. And have a look at what you're getting. You've got this sort of faux wood grain material around the place, this soft touch leather across the door panels. It even has fragrance dispenser in here. You can literally tell it what you want it to smell like inside the car and how intense you want it to be. I mean, this is stuff that you used to find on like an S-Class, and now you're finding it here in a car that is under $50,000 drive away. So that to me, I reckon is really cool stuff, just what you are getting in terms of value for money. What about when you poke a little bit further? So what are your touch points like? That is nice and soft there. Nice and soft on the door there as well. How soft are those touch points? We've got our gyrometer. We've tested the main surfaces in this cabin. If you do want to see how this car compares to others that we've tested before, have a look at the link in the description below. Now, build quality, what is it like? That's all pretty solid there. Let me know, have you owned a Chery? What is it like in terms of build quality? Let me know in the comments section. This is what door slam sounds like. Now let's talk about infotainment and what you're getting here ahead of the driver. So two 12.3-inch displays. One is for your infotainment, one is for all of your drive information. Now the infotainment system is fascinating because it comes with a fair few features. So you've got inbuilt satellite navigation, and when you click on it, it comes up with Turbo Dog, which is the name of the software that they're running, which is quite funny. But so inbuilt satellite navigation, it means you don't have to pair a phone if you don't want to. The other cool feature as well is you have the ability to plug in a USB stick and play video and look at pictures here as well. But they take it one step further with a dash camera. Now the way that it works is uses a camera that's mounted up here, and there is a memory card slot for a micro SD card just off to the side. You also have Wi-Fi connectivity as well. So that's how it communicates with the car. So it means that you're getting a dash cam built in. You don't have to faff around with running cables and buying a dash cam. It's all fitted here to the car existing, which I think is a great feature and something that more manufacturers need to do, because the amount of near misses you have with people and you're like, God, I wish I had a dash cam. This is all that you need. It's all sort of built right into there. So you've got AM, FM radio, and that's all plumbed through a 10-speaker Sony branded sound system. Pretty decent sound system, but you can then take it further by playing music through Apple CarPlay or Android Auto as an alternative. I'll show you what Apple CarPlay looks like. So full screen, pretty sort of straightforward and easy to use. And this is what Android Auto looks like. So wireless as well. Pretty straightforward and easy to use. Now the screen ahead of the driver, this is your driver information. So you flick through that using the controls here on the steering wheel, and then you can basically adjust your music, navigation, and see all the car's functions, tire pressure monitoring, all that sort of stuff, which is nice to see. The other fascinating thing too, you've got buttons off to the side here for dimming the dashboard, but also for volume. So interesting placement, I haven't seen that before. Actually, I should mention as well, they also have this voice recognition feature. So I'll show you how that works.
Please continue.
Open the sunroof.
Okay.
Look how accurate that is. I can just see exactly what's going on there. So
Here.
close the
Sorry.
sunroof. Oh.
This question is beyond my ability. Okay.
Okay, it works most of the time. But anyway, you can do functions like that, which I think is pretty decent. So very impressed with that. Let's talk safety. So you've got autonomous emergency braking with pedestrian and cyclist detection. You've got an auto dimming rear vision mirror. You've got blind spot monitoring built into your wing mirrors. You have radar cruise control with a lane centering assistant and semi-autonomous steering assistant too. We'll test that later on. You've got a driver monitoring system. One of those annoying things that is in all these cars today, which I find quite frustrating, but again, we'll test it out when we go for a drive. You've got front and rear parking sensors, rear cross traffic alert. You've got a 360 camera, really is loaded with stuff. I'll show you what the camera looks like. So there it is there. Yeah, look, it's sharp-ish. I don't really know what it is. It's quite grainy, but the vision seems like it could be good. I don't really get why it looks like that. Got a 3D view there as well. You can then go to wide angle views of the front and the rear. So you can see it's kind of hard to see what it says on the suitcase there, but you know, it is what it is. And this is what the horn sounds like. Let's chat practicality, and we'll start off with connectivity. So in here, you have a wireless phone charger, USB-C and USB-A. Down here, you've got a 12-volt outlet nestled into there. In terms of storing your stuff, bottle holders up the front here with teeth as well. Bottle holders in the doors. Let's just see if they fit our big bottle. They sort of do, but you've got to basically destroy the bottle to get it in there. Giant center console here. Has air conditioning as well, which is cool. In terms of other storage, have a look at this. You've got all of this storage down here and a pretty reasonably sized glove box plus sunglasses holder as well. Now, comfort, you've got dual zone automatic climate control up the front here, heated and cooled seats, and that is across the range. You've got an ionizer as well for the cabin. Comfort. These seats are pretty comfy. They sort of hug you in quite nicely. Good design too, with that sort of diamond quilting and then Tiggo written up the top there. Electric adjustment for both driver and front passengers, so you can go forwards and backwards. Your backrest can go forwards and backwards. You can lift the back of the seat, unfortunately not the front of the seat, which I would have liked to see, plus lumbar adjustment. You've got memory for the driver's seat. Steering offers both tilt and reach adjustment, and on our reach test, all of this stuff's easy to reach, but you do have to lean in a little bit to catch the edges of this screen. Now, second row, what's it like back here? Knee room is decent, toe room is decent, headroom is really good. I kind of feel like I'm sitting back a little bit there, but that's actually quite a comfy seat. All of that luxury continues back here as well. Often what you'll find with these cars from sort of mainstream brands is the second you get to the second row, everything is scratchy and yuck, whereas this is still very high-end back here. That sort of burgundy leather too. Matte pockets, you've got a little bit of storage under here. USB A and C charging, more storage down there. Air vents here for your second row. Look at that Tiggo in gold writing as well. The ability to move your passenger seat from here as well. Got a center armrest here with 2 cup holders. Second row also slides to give you more room for the third row, so that is a handy feature. ISOFIX points and top tether points as well. Now, does the window go down all the way? So it's auto up and down. Oh, so close. Now, third row. Hi, how do we get in? You pull this thing, slide it all the way forward. Not a huge amount of room, but I'll try and clamber on in. Now, this is probably just a kid's area, especially not for massively fat adults like me. Okay, so pull that back. Yeah, this is really cramped back here. At this point here, my knees are wedged into the seat. I have no toe room and no headroom, but I am seated in a seat that wouldn't exist if this wasn't a 3-row SUV. Still adequate legroom there as well. So yeah, look, I think that if you had to, you could carry an adult here at a stretch, but this is going to primarily be a kid's zone, and that's all they market it as anyway, but I thought I'd try and fit an adult here. I've got my own blower controls, air vents, cup holders here as well. So there are creature comforts if you do want to stick the kids in here, which is good news. Let's see how much boot room we have. So you've got a powered tailgate, nice and snappy as well. You have just over 100 litres to play with here, so not a huge amount of room. Beneath the cargo floor, you've got warning triangle, jack, a couple of other bits and pieces. So you can pretty much just fit a laptop bag in there, maybe a little bit of shopping as well, but that is about it. You can drop your third row out of the way. And it's a bit of an interesting one because normally they have like a spring or something, but with this, you've got to kind of just push it all the way down, which is a little bit annoying, but that's what it is. Okay, so once that is out of the way and you've got that slightly flat, you've got a space of just under 500 litres. You've got a 12-volt outlet off to the side there as well. Show you what it looks like with the bags in there. So there's the laptop bag and the suitcase as well. So still a pretty reasonable space. If you do want more space, you can then drop the second row out of the way too. And you do get just over 700 litres to the window line. So we've just hit the road in the Tiggo 8 Pro Max. I'm going to start off by saying I'm probably going to have to switch off a lot of this safety stuff because it does get incredibly annoying. It's just constantly popping up telling me I'm distracted even when I'm sort of looking dead ahead. So I'm just going to go ahead and switch that off, plus the speed sign recognition as well, because that also isn't great around here. So I'll switch all that stuff off. There we go, that is all off, so that will hopefully not a noise for the moment. So let's kick off with the absolute basics here, and that is the engine. 2-litre turbocharged 4-cylinder petrol engine. You don't really see too many SUVs in this segment that pack that kind of engine. It makes 180 kilowatts of power and 375 Newton meters of torque here, but like I mentioned before, with that badge on the back, 390 Newton meters of torque if you are looking at this in overseas markets. So it is a pretty punchy engine, and for a car that doesn't weigh an enormous amount, it's going to mean that it will be pretty engaging behind the wheel. It's all mated to a 7-speed dual clutch transmission. So let's see what that feels like here at low speeds. Typically with these dual clutches, they tend to be a little bit jerky and not very nice. So we'll see what that, yeah. It's just a bit sort of elastic. It kind of just shoves you back in the seat when you're trying to take off gently. So only an issue at low speeds, and only an issue when you're sort of on inclines and stuff like that. But it's one of those things to keep in mind. It's always worth test driving cars like this to make sure that you're not overly affected by it and that you're happy with the way that it drives. But that does mean that it is a bit more responsive. So if I sort of sink the boot in now, dual clutch will move through the gears a little quicker, and it really delivers a healthy punch in the back. It's surprising how much go this has for what is a pretty affordable SUV. So that is pretty impressive. I'll be keen to see what this is like when the speed picks up and we go for a bit more of a fun drive. In terms of the rest of the low speed maneuvers here, look, steering feel is okay. It doesn't have a huge amount of feel. It can vary the feel depending on which drive mode you're in, which is good. But it means for low speed driving and stuff like that, you don't have to input all that much. It's very light and easy to use in that regard. Now let's talk fuel economy. So Chery claims 8.7 litres per 100 Ks. We're currently sitting on 13.4. So, and that's over a 200K journey that included highway driving. So that is pretty thirsty when you think about it. We're keen to see what this is like on a longer drive, and perhaps if you have bought one of these, what has it been like in terms of fuel economy? You have to feed this with 95 RON premium unleaded, so it could be a little expensive to run if it is going to be using that kind of fuel consistently. Now let's see what it's like on our sine waves. We do this at 130 Ks an hour. It gives us a good idea of what the ride is like and what the body control is like when the speed picks up. Okie dokie, so there's 130 there. Yeah, look, it is a little bit floaty there. It actually felt like the tyres may have left the ground ever so slightly. That typically tells you that the suspension is probably on the softer side, so great for driving just in and around the city. But if you do a country drive or you're going out or for an extended drive where the speeds are picking up and you're hitting those consecutive bumps, which you come across everywhere around regional Australia, it is going to feel a little bit nauseated and not very nice. So hopefully that's something they can address in the future with a local ride and handling tune. All the companies that have done a local ride and handling tune have reaped the benefits of being able to kind of tailor the ride there for the Australian conditions. Okay, so bumpy road time. So we do this at 90 Ks an hour, and it just gives us a good indication of what the ride is like on a shocker of a bumpy road like this. Okay, so being softer in sort of regular driving, it actually means that it soaks this stuff up really nicely. We have a condensed sine wave coming up here as well. Let's just see what this feels like. Yeah, that actually doesn't feel too bad. So despite this not having that body control for the continuous undulations, it actually feels pretty nice and comfortable just for regular sort of day-to-day driving. Now let's talk visibility. So you've got a sort of decent commanding driving position. You're looking down over the front of the car there. You can see quite easily around the vehicle too. Wing mirrors are nice and big. Visibility out the back is interesting because it's got this sort of really wide angle mirror, and it's a bit weird to start with, but I don't know, kind of like it. So yeah, I can see sort of clearly out the back there, and you're getting that sort of good field of view to see everyone inside the car, which is great. Now in terms of road noise, it can be a little bit noisy on the highway. These tyres appear to be kind of sporty tyres, so when you are on coarse chip roads, it really is sort of coming into the cabin there at highway speeds. We did test it up against our calibrated sound meter, and this is how it went. If you do want to see how this car compares to others that we've tested before, have a look at the link in the description below. Okay, so you've got a drive mode selector here. Sometimes it doesn't really respond. You kind of have to push it in and turn it. You've got eco, normal, sport, off-road, muddy, snow mode. So I've just popped it into sport. Let's go for a little drive around the track here at a higher speed. Most people aren't going to be driving like this, but we test all of our cars back to back in the same way just to see what they feel like. A lot of body roll there, and traction control is biting quite a lot there to the point where I don't have anything at the moment. Let's go through the back here. It has got a lot of punch. It is really pushing along quite nicely. And with this all-wheel drive system, it's an on-demand style system, so it's sending torque to the rear axle as required. This thing is absolutely moving. Really surprised by that, but we are being hampered here by that traction control system. What it's doing every time we're hitting a sort of bump mid-corner, it's sort of activating the traction control, and it's kind of just making the car a little bit unsettled through the corners there. So it's only really an issue once the speed picks up, and like I said, most people aren't going to be driving like this, so I might actually do one more lap just with that stuff switched off, just to see what the body is like and what the dynamics and the chassis is like, because that gives you a good idea of how much effort and time they've spent on actually engineering the vehicle. Oh, I'm just genuinely surprised at how punchy this engine is. It's really good. Okay, here we go. Okay, so still the body roll, but I can actually just lay into the throttle there, and the all-wheel drive system is pretty good. It's not understeering, it's not pushing us wide, it's just giving us everything that we need there. Yeah, this is a completely transformed car with the stability controls switched off, and I think that tells me that they probably need to look at doing a sport mode for stability control, just to give it just slightly more sort of engagement behind the wheel and not have it constantly biting. But yeah, this actually feels really good. So quite impressed with that. Now, time to test the lane support systems on the bowl here. So we use the 3 outer lanes. I'm going to try first in the easy lane just to see how well it'll centre and keep the car going around. And then we'll just move over to the harder lanes where it has to apply a bit more steering torque and put more effort in. So we do this at 70 k's an hour. So it's coming up saying I'm distracted, even though I'm just looking at the speed. Okay, so there's 70. It is currently auto steering. So in this first lane, it seems to be doing a pretty good job. We're staying fairly centered there, which is good. All right, we'll jump over to the next lane. See what it's like up here. Okay, wait for that to lock on. There we go, that's locked on. That is bringing us back towards the center there. That's holding a pretty decent position, which is good. And so I'm going to take over control just because I've got to hold the steering wheel. All right, jump over to final lane. See what it's like up the top here, whether it actually locks on and recognises the line markings. No, it doesn't look like it's going to. Just give it a little bit more time. No, it's not recognising the line markings. So, yeah, it works well in the first 2 lanes. It's just on that last lane, the banking is too high for it to actually lock on or actually do anything for that matter. Now, let's do a little bit of performance testing. So we don't have an official 0 to 100 time. So what I'm going to do is go from 0 all the way through to 120 so we can get our 80 to 120 overtaking time and our 0 to 100 time as well. So we'll slot this over to Sport. I will switch traction control off as well. Here we go. Let's see what happens. We'll stall it up a little bit. It is like a shot out of a gun there. That's awesome. Okay, so there's 100. And there is 120. All right, bring this to a stop. Oops, my phone flies around. So 0 to 100, 7.58 seconds. That's pretty awesome. 80 to 120, 5.18 seconds as well. So there's a pretty healthy set of numbers there, I reckon. Shows you that it's got a fair bit of spice off the line there, and that's where you feel that punch, especially in that mid-range, which you can see there with that 80 to 120 time. So that's really cool. Okay, it is time to do a stop from 100 to see what the brake and tyre package is like. Okay, so there's around 100. Here we go. Oh, okay. It felt good from where I'm sitting. Let's see what the numbers say. 100 to 0, 2.97 seconds, 38.8 metres. So not a bad stopping distance, really. So if you do want to see how this compares to other cars we've tested before, have a look at the link in the description below. Now, reverse acceleration. How quick does it go in reverse? Let's find out. Oh, yes. 63 kilometres an hour. So the Tiggo 8 Pro Max Ultimate. What do we reckon? Firstly, I think it's definitely a mouthful. They could probably shorten that name a little bit. Outside of that, this is such good value for money. I mean, if you have a look 10 years ago at some of the features that you see in this car, they weren't even in existence, and then you progress through, some of them were then in an S-Class, and they filter their way down to a car that is under $50,000 a drive away. Just seems like really good value for money to me, especially when you compare it to some of its other peers in this segment that have, in the case of Outlander and X-Trail, naturally aspirated petrol engines compared to a 2-litre turbocharged petrol here. Sure, it's not the dynamic king, it won't win any awards on that front, and it is a little bit thirsty as well, but outside of that, it actually represents pretty good value for money and decent motoring too if you need a 7-seater and don't want to spend mega bucks. So let me know what you reckon in the comments section below. Would you go for the all-wheel drive, or would you settle down there for one of the front-wheel drive models? I'm keen for your feedback. If you did enjoy this video, please make sure you like it and you share it with your mates. And if you haven't done so already, subscribe to our channel and press the bell icon button. Until next time, take it easy.